What is up, guys? This is Bigfoot Freak, and welcome to my very first video on my channel. And today I'm just gonna cut it right into it. We're gonna go to YouTube to a guy that I like called Olden Makes. He's on the top right there. He makes all these cool weapons out of foam and makes really cool stuff. So I was figuring we can watch one of his videos, like, let's say, yeah, the Infinity Gauntlet. So I'll just...
Hello, I'm Odin, and today I'm going to make a very requested prop. It's the Infinity Gauntlet from Avengers Infinity War. Thanos is a pretty big guy, and the Infinity Gauntlet is huge, so I'm going to scale mine back and actually make a gauntlet that I can wear. I'm going to start with a pair of welding gloves. I only need the left one, but they're sold in pairs. What I want to make first is the cuff and the back of the hand. Then I'll cover the fingers later. Using a foam ruler, I measured my wrist and then about how big I wanted the back of the gauntlet to be. And I divided both of those sizes by 4 and drew up a paper pattern. I folded the pattern in half when I first drew it and cut it out, so all the pieces will be symmetrical and I don't need to label anything. I cut out all 4 of the parts from 1/2-inch floor mat foam. I want the wrist portion of the cuff to be kind of form-fitting and not bulky, so I sanded the foam down into a wedge shape to try and make that a little thinner than the 1/2-inch foam that I'm using. I used a heat gun and a plastic punch ladle as a planishing tool to help shape the curves into the flat foam. Then I used contact cement to glue all 4 pieces together, painting the glue on each side, letting it mostly dry, and then sticking it together. I suppose I could have divided my measurements by 3 and cut out just 3 pieces, but this is going to be fine. The finished cuff is a little square, so I used my heat gun to help relax the foam, which rounded it out a little bit more. It's a good fit, and I make some marks in the glove about where I want the contact cement to go, and where the seams need to line up so the cuff won't be twisted when I put it back on. Sticking them together will be a challenge since the glove needs to slip through the cuff and the contact cement will stick the first chance it gets. So I taped on small pieces of paper over the glue in the glove, which allowed me to position the foam where I wanted it. Then I can remove the paper pieces and stick everything together. To start on the plate that goes on the back of the hand, I make some basic measurements and then kind of look at the shape that I want and freehand it onto some foam. Then I cut out a funky piece that can wrap around my hand and be open on the knuckles and on the wrist. I shaved down all the edges on this foam because I want the center to be raised up to kind of bulk up the gauntlet, but I want the edges to look smaller than the foam that I'm using. And I want the foam to actually be thinner where it wraps around the palm of my hand. This is also glued on with contact cement, and I add some more contact cement to hear the little areas that I missed the first time. I use my Dremel to sand down some of the rough edges and to carve out the notches that are between each knuckle. There are 5 plates that make up the wrist, and I eyeball the shapes that I want on paper, and then I cut them out of 3mm foam. I also cut out the raised trim for each piece, gluing them on as I go. There is 1 centerpiece and 2 large wrist leaves that wrap around the wrist, and then 2 smaller leaves that sit over the bigger ones. I plan on gluing all of these on after everything is painted. I clean up the edges with the Dremel and then make the foam thinner where I want to glue it onto the welding glove. With all these parts cut out, I can add the details that go on the centerpiece with some 1mm foam and then use the Dremel for some decorative carving. There's quite a bit of decorative pieces in the back of the cuff and on the sides, which is good because that'll help hide all the seams. I measure what I want and make a paper pattern, folding it again so when I cut it out it's symmetrical. I reuse the pattern to add the raised trim ridges and to make the feather-like decorations, which I will need 6, 2 for the top and 2 for each side. In my reference photos, I can't see the bottom of the cuff, so I plan on leaving it blank. The trim pieces are so small, it's easier to cut out the middle, glue on the bigger piece, and then cut the edges to fit. But I can't do that with the second inner ridge, so I had to be careful attaching it. Because if it bent funny and stuck wrong, I would tear it trying to remove it, and I would need to cut a new one. I trace the whole piece onto the cuff so I know where to use contact cement to glue them together. I bevel the edges of the big piece. Now I probably should have done this before it was glued on, because if I slip, I'm going to put a cut into the cuff. I cut out the 6 feather pieces and glue the first 2 to the back of the cuff, and the other pairs go right on the sides. I plan to place them where they can help hide the seams. I start to etch the feather ridges into the thin foam. The actual prop has a design of intricate knotwork on all of these parts, with the pattern weaving over.
Okay guys, that's going to be all today. So, if you want to see it more, because look how long the video is. 12 minutes and 42 seconds. I'm not going to be doing that much of a length of video as I already am so far. So, if you want to see more of Odin makes, go to his channel, subscribe to the dude. You can subscribe to me as well if you want, because if you press that red button, if that button's red, guys, you gotta press it, because you'll be really helping me out knowing that you guys want to see more. And while you're at it, please press the like button, smash it. Can we at least hit, I know this is going to be challenging for you all that is probably going to see this, but can we all please hit 1 like on the video? Just 1 like. No, you can go over it, but I want at least 1 like, guys. I'm not crazy for like gold, but I just want at least 1 like. And I want to say thank you all. Peace.